The final road game of the year, Florida State takes on Syracuse Saturday up in the Carrier Dome at 3:30. We're your Nole insiders, Lane Hurt and Tim Linnefelt. Before we get to the game, let's learn a little bit about the Syracuse Orange. They are 4-6 on the season, 2-4 in the ACC, unranked obviously. Offensively, 47th in total offense in the NCAA, averaging 439 yards a game. Defensively, Tim, you said they were bad several months ago in one of these game previews. You were right. 117th in total defense, giving up nearly 472 yards a game. The good news for Syracuse, a good young quarterback. Sophomore Eric Dungey ranked 14th in the country in passing yards per game, close to 300 yards. The bad news, he's doubtful for this one, Tim. And with so much going against Syracuse heading into this game, that might be the death knell for the Orange.
Well, yeah, I actually thought that this could be a pretty good test for Florida State's defense and secondary. Syracuse, under their new head coach, I guess he's not new anymore, but their first-year head coach, Dino Babers, actually moved the ball pretty well against a lot of different teams, but not having Eric Dungey out there. He suffered an injury against Clemson, and it sounded like kind of a scary thing. They said earlier this week that he was going to seek a second opinion, and I saw right before we started recording the show that the injury was ruled out that it is not career-threatening. Well, that's good. I'm glad it's not career-threatening, but the fact that there is even a question that it was a career-threatening injury says that it was a pretty serious situation. So Dino Babers said earlier this week that he's doubtful to play. We haven't heard any update that would suggest otherwise. So it sounds like Eric Dungey, who is, like you said, a really talented quarterback up there, is not going to be able to play, which certainly, I think, limits Syracuse's offensive ceiling.
Zach Mahoney getting the start for the Orange changes things a lot for them. Let's get to our stat of the week. Thanks to the guys from Pro Football Focus. Boston College was a huge win for the Seminoles, and the numbers from Pro Football Focus bear that out. Take a look at this. Led by Auden Tate, he graded out at an 85.5 out of 100. He was the 4th ranked wide receiver for the week. Here's Matthew Thomas. Was
in the whole country?
In the whole country.
Okay, all right.
Very impressive from Tate. Matthew Thomas ranked 23rd out of linebackers for the country with an 82.6 rating. There's DeMarcus Walker, 78.6. Travis Rudolph, 78.4. Tavares McFadden at 78. Obviously, Tate's the guy who stands out. There's so much upside with that guy. These young receivers, the second week in a row, last week it was Nooney we were talking about, and this week it's Tate.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see Nyquan Murray take his turn in the spotlight over the last month or so, and now Auden Tate, guy who we've expected big things from really ever since the spring game back in April. Now he's starting to emerge, and who knows, maybe this will be the week where both those guys have a big game at the same time, and it'll be another coming out party for Florida State's offense. But yeah, as you can see, probably Florida State's most impressive dominance showing against Boston College, and the numbers for the individual players bear that out, and it shows what we kind of suspected, is that when everything's clicking, this Florida State roster is, among the best in the nation.
And now to our matchup of the week, and it might be the one area where Syracuse has a mismatch against most teams, and it's that wide receiver unit that they have, led by Omba Etta Tawo. He's 6'2". He has 79 grabs on the year, good for 1,246 yards. He's 4th in the nation in receiving yards per game. The guy's dominant, and there's a couple other great wide receivers that they have as well. And
yeah, 3 really good ones. A fun fact for you, there are 3 schools with multiple receivers that rank them on the top 10 in receiving yards per game. Clemson's one of them, that's no surprise. Virginia Tech, pretty easy. The next one is Syracuse, and not only do they have 2, they have 3. They're the only school in the ACC with 3. So pretty remarkable that they get the ball to those guys a lot. They all sort of do different things. But Omba Tawo, like you said, is the leader in the clubhouse. He's a guy that has been on our radar here for a while, because all those weeks that you saw the statistics in either our stories or videos about Dalvin Cook leading the nation in yards from scrimmage earlier this season, he was always right there. He was either number 1 or number 2 all the way through maybe the first half of the season, and he's still right up there. He's just a fantastic player. His numbers speak for themselves, and it's just pretty impressive that, everybody knows the ball's going to him, but nobody's been able to stop it. So it'll be an interesting test for Florida State, especially on the turf at the Carrier Dome.
There you have it, Seminole fans. It's the Noles and the Orange, last ACC game of the season. And of course, make sure you check out Seminoles.com. Check out Tim's 1st and 10, always a great read before the games. A lot of great information in there. And of course, we'll have everything you need after the game as well, as Florida State takes on Syracuse. So for Tim, I'm Lane. Go Noles.